Hello everyone. Today's episode is going to be a little bit of a change of pace, and not something that I necessarily think that I'm going to do more than once, but I'm not exactly opposed to the idea, so you never know. Last weekend I saw Pacific Rim. Being a huge fan of monster films as a kid, I was really excited about this film. I can't even tell you how many times my brothers and I would rent Godzilla and Gamera movies when we were growing up. Wow. So in talking to friends who have seen the movie, intelligent friends whose opinions I greatly respect, I might be the only person who didn't like it. This is probably going to get pretty spoilerific, so if you don't want anything ruined for you, it might be a good idea to just shut off the video. So right off, I'd like to say that it's awesome that the movie played homage to those big monster films that I was talking about earlier. And by monster films, I mean kaiju films, because that's what they're called. There's no better name for the monsters, no better name for the classification system of the monsters than the Serizawa scale. Serizawa being the name of the scientist who finally devised a way to kill the monster in the original Japanese movie Gojira, which is what Godzilla was called before Americans got a hold of it and decided that it was too hard to pronounce. It's likely that I was the only person in the theater that night that caught both of those, but still, good on you, Mr. Del Toro. And from there, it's a pretty big turnoff for me when the movie sets rules within its own universe and then breaks them or ignores them. The Jaeger pilots share a neural link. They share the same thoughts, memories, experiences. And when one pilot asks another pilot how they're doing, I don't know why they didn't just think about it. Any verbal communication between the two pilots would be completely unnecessary. They are, for all purposes, sharing the same brain. Apparently there was a line that was cut from the film that explained that the kaiju are silicon-based life forms, which, for whatever reason, makes the biological EMP make a little bit more sense to me. Not sure why. However, the baby kaiju had an umbilical cord. And I don't necessarily expect people wanting to be biologists, but quick quiz. Do you know what kind of beings have umbilical cords? Mammals. The answer is mammals. Mammals have umbilical cords. And if you'd like to argue that they are alien creatures from another dimension and we can't really apply the same rules, by all means. The whole thing was like Rock'em Sock'em Robots played out in an aquarium. Because there's nothing so dangerous as those underwater boxing matches. This is how MMA fighters are going to train now. Forget the octagon, bring on the aquagon! Really though, have you ever tried punching something underwater? It doesn't work like you want it to work. They also threw the kaiju into the water, presumably to hurt them. Kind of an unconventional tactic. But in my experience, it is pretty effective against cats. I'd also like to know how the escape pods were somehow able to make it to the other side of the dimensional rift without being strapped to a kaiju. Some of the exposition was just abysmal. You know as well as I do that they have two brains, like a dinosaur. That is the brain that I want. The second one, subtle. I also would have preferred that less of the exposition had come from the comic relief. And that the comic relief was the two scientists in the film should probably clue me in as to how the writers wanted me to view the science in the flick. Which is to say, please don't. I mean, it wasn't all bad. It wasn't an origin story, thankfully. They didn't force the romantic aspect in the film. And the kaiju and the Jaegers really had a sense of scale. They just felt huge. That's what she said. And visually, it was amazeballs. But really, what would we expect from Benicio del Toro? I just really like story, and I understand that it's giant fighting robots, but it doesn't mean that it still can't have a good story between the punches. Watery though they may be. So am I just plagued by pragmatism? Should I just shut up, eat my popcorn, and enjoy some good old beat 'em up and stop thinking about it? Let me know what you think down in the Flame War section below. That's the comments. And if you liked Pacific Rim, let me know what you liked about it. I'm really interested to hear. And if you haven't seen this yet, and you watched through it anyway, even though I warned you about potential spoilers, you should probably go see it. Because I think I'm the only person who didn't like it. And I genuinely feel bad about that. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you'd like to see more of this stuff. Because, well, the Wolverine comes out next week. I'll see you again soon when we talk about breaking out of the man box. Bye-bye. So do you think that if someone got hired on Pacific Rim, they told people that they got the Pacific Rim job?